So I come from program management background. So my intent of taking this class is to how I can use this Gen AI concepts in business development and applications. So how well I can make use in the program management perspective, like the landscape, business side of it. More than technical, like how I can, use different data models, train them, prompt or different aspects of it. So what are the risks, impacts, what best we can do in implementing this Gen AI in different landscape, healthcare, insurance, in the whole nine yards. I hope this class is helpful for me in evaluating that one. Thank you.
This is Srinivas, right?
No, this is Srikanth.
Srikant. Hey, Srikant. Yeah, like, these sessions will be a mix and match of both. Like, we'll try to keep this as interactive as possible, like, and at the same time, we will ensure, like, so this class has a different audience. I mean, audience coming from different, what should I say, different backgrounds, like, but we need to ensure, like, everyone will have the piece of pie. And we noted down your expectations. And yes, we'll be having these conversations while we are building the models, right? For example, like, if you are into healthcare or oil and gas, or if you are into um, uh, finance, right? Like, we can give you certain examples, right? Like, how to, how to, how to like, how to start your Gen AI in the first place, right? Like, identifying low hanging fruit and working on ROI, something similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah, so the bottom line is, right, my expectation is based on what I learn here, how I can apply that use case in different industries. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be hard coded. It's a generic knowledge. I can pick it up. I can plug and play in different industries. It shouldn't matter. Yeah, I come from finance background, but it doesn't matter. Tomorrow, if I want to switch over to healthcare, insurance, so I should be able to carry this knowledge and put it in there and take it forward.
Sure.
That's my expectation.
Sure, we'll try our best to meet your expectations. Yeah.
Thanks, Greg. So, Pawan, are you part of this training academy? What is your role with this one? Teja is teaching, is an instructor. How about you?
Yeah, so we will be splitting this. So as I told, right, it will be data science and Gen AI, and also deployment of Gen AI based models. And Pawan will be he's having a complete experience in the AWS cloud, and he has like complete hands-on for the deployment. So you understand like what are the nuances or the issues, or how can we deploy those models using AWS.
So sorry to take your time. So for this training, right, we are sticking with the only AWS Bedrock, right? It's not cloud agnostic solutions that we are going to look into it.
Okay, let me put it this way, like, Tej, whatever he does, like, so he's gonna explain in a cloud agnostic way. So even like, when I'm explaining stuff, like, I have the expertise, like, so I'm not part of this academy. I'm a kind of a guest speaker, like, who will be taking like, 30 odd sessions, and I'll be sharing my experiences that I had. I had solving these real world problems with respect to Gen AI and ML, right? Like, I'll be talking about use cases, what to do, what not to do, how to do, and then I'll be building a basic RAG, and I'll be working on certain chatbots that can help you with your Q&A, Q&A kind of like, implementations, etc. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. No worries. We'll take it forward going forward. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all.
Hey, Pawan, Srini here. So, yeah, I'm working as a solution architect in retail and e-commerce. I've been working since 19 years. I have the experience on e-commerce platforms. So, just I want to see I have the programming experience and hands-on experience. So, and also I have the AWS professional certified and associate. So just I want to understand how it's useful for me. So mostly what I'm looking here. So I tried the couple of the Gen AI projects. Just I want to see how deep learning in this. So how to create the models and deploy and complete flow. So just I have the basic knowledge how these things will work, but I want to understand the deeper level how the things will work.
Yep.
Is that something I can get something from this or
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you will be understanding. It won't be a theoretical plus coding, right? And you will be understanding more about like what are the tools you have used, the underlying why we need to use a vector database, why we need to split the documents, what is a necessity, what is a prompt engineering, and what are tokens. Like you will understand the some of the deep things about LLMs and the projects related to that.
okay, yeah, that's what I want to understand. Yeah, I have the high level idea, but I want to see the deeper understanding about the how these things like framed and then deploy into the production now and how execute as a project. That's what I want to understand. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. You want us to show you an end-to-end deployment
Yeah,
from
yeah,
data ingestion to
yeah, yeah.
data extraction to
Correct, correct.
prompting the models with questions and saving the responses in data store. Okay.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, anyone wants to go next?
Yeah, my name is Raj. So I have pretty much 20 years of experience in project management and delivery, and in the different vertical. My goal is just wanted to make sure that I understand the Gen AI concept, and I'm right now shifting my focus towards the cybersecurity. So just wanted to make sure how effectively we can implement or use bring the Gen AI into the cybersecurity. Or somebody already mentioned that you're using it in the program management level or the project management level. That was my expectation. There's no specific, but like I'll try to catch what the best I can implement from this training. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, this is Ravi. So I'm into basically I'm from a QA background and I'm into the QA management. So from more than 15 plus years of experience. So my expectation is how it's going to use. So nowadays I'm looking for the requirements for the generative AI testing. So is that something that it can you guys can help us on that? And does it need any coding background, or if we want to move the change our complete discipline to the generative AI, artificial intelligence, how does it work? So I just want to know about that. That's my expectation.
Okay. I'm gonna take that question. So let me also help answering the cybersecurity program management use case, right? Like, so when it comes to the cybersecurity use cases, right? Like, we are obviously like, we will try to bring in a bunch of use cases, and we are gonna discuss on like, the ethical and responsible use of Gen AI. Like, so Gen AI is, I mean, building solutions one part of it, and ethically and responsibly building Gen AI is a big thing. Like, you guys must have heard about Gen AI, right? Like, so we'll be discussing about the potential risks and mitigations. Hopefully, like, we'll also be discussing a bit of Gen AI advancements in cybersecurity. Okay. That is with the cybersecurity use cases, and with QA management use cases, like, off late, like, we are seeing, lots of push in the QA landscape. Like, for example, right? Like, let's say we have a team of testers and you have to go through a software requirement document book, I mean, kind of like, bulk documentation, right? Your SRD corpus, right? Like, so what we are doing now is using generative AI, right? We are able to feed these documents into the models and extract the test cases. And for your specific use case regarding QA, you really need not understand the coding. In GenAI, you have like, different flavors. One is like, you can get out of box solutions, or you can build solutions from the scratch. So in your case, I think out of box solutions should help. And for that, I believe like, we have certain tools that we will introduce to you, like, wherein you can just plug and play with these tools. For example, Amazon Q. You can just feed in your SRD document and you can build your own prompt. It is just click on the button. Yeah, we'll be covering that.
So then in that case, do we need to go through this whole course, or do you have any specific courses for the QA guys? Because this is more like data science and machine learning and kind of this complete generative AI, right? Which may include the coding also, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is not specific to any one particular use case, but we will be covering all the bases.
Okay. And it has coding, right? Or it does not have coding?
Yeah, it does have coding.
It has coding.
Yeah, coding does play a big part, right? Like, we are gonna help you understand, like, how we start with how this AI, generative AI, ML work behind the scenes, and we're gonna theoretically help. I mean, more than theory, like, we want to do it in a practical way, wherein, like, by the end of the course, like, you'll be carrying with you the kind of experience, and when you go to your team or when you go to the interviews, right? I mean, these experience will come handy in you either like, solving your real world problems or like, attending interviews, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
A question, Pawan. Is it a prerequisite to have a coding background to attend this class?
So I think Python is a basic thing, but we'll also explain the Python. And everyone in the data science or the GenAI will be using Python. The reason is that it's a week, I think maybe less than week, you can learn Python and you can run the things.
Yeah, I know Python is involved. It's been like 15 years. I manage the team, but I don't know how to.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, to your question, sir, like, see, again, right, like, we have certain use cases wherein we build solutions from the scratch, and we have certain use cases where we can just use the out of the box solutions, right? Like, for example, right, like, for security, right? Like, we can just buy this Amazon Ring and we can just install in front of the door, right? Like, we're not configuring any software or we're not configuring any cameras anywhere, right? Just like that, even with generative AI, we have certain tools, right? Like, for example, we have like Bart, or like, we have Amazon Q, or we have Copilot, or like, things like this. Yeah. Right. So yeah, it is a mix of both, like, so we'll be focusing both on the coding aspect and also on out of the box solutions. I'll predominantly be taking you through all the out of box solutions, right? Like, how to configure Amazon Q. Okay, how to talk to the models, right? Like, you not need any coding for these.
Oh, yeah.
It is all like, out of the box. You just use the AWS console and click the buttons and you can plug and play with that. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you guys. There are few, I mean, in line with the same that coding question. I just wanted to make sure I'm in the right forum. So I just asked this question. So is something like, sorry, to attend this, if it's most of the people asked, do we really need to do the programming? Okay, that can use any other way we can differentiate that. What are the roles and responsibility of some of the jobs available, or the expectation for the non-programmers and the programmers is something that we can differentiate and then address that, or do you have that kind of course or syllabus that is available, like where the for example, I know that there are a couple of gentlemen spoke before me. I think they are from the manager or the program sites, so including me, that we don't really much hands-on the development. It's been quite some time. So but would the Gen AI getting into the current whatever we are doing, whether we can implement or we can present to the management or come out with the use case, so that in that case we don't need to do much worry about the programming. And there are set of group of people that who's interested in programming, because is something that you guys will differentiate, or it just go same?
So it goes a hand in hand at the end of the session, right? You will be able to know like way to use GenAI, way to use data science, and way to use completely rule-based. So it's and also you will be understanding some basics of Python and all. But yeah, if you're not interested in the Python, right, it will be like the introduction of some of the concepts plus coding. And so majorly we are looking into that. Every project can't be using GenAI, but some things can be covered by machine learning. Some things can be covered by GenAI. This is something you will be getting to know at the end of the sessions.
Okay, so it's I just decided that whether after the session I should be able to take a decision that whether it can be used by GenAI or cannot be. That's specific from my perspective.
Yes, like so I get it, sir. Like you want to understand from the program management or a project management perspective, right? Like you're working in an organization wherein like you want to ensure like if you can roll out a piece of GenAI solution, like how to. I mean, are we like are you talking regarding that, right? Like you want to understand like how to. I mean, I'm not getting the right word. Like
That's fine. Yeah. I got your point. What you're trying to say. That's what I'm looking for. It like whether I can after this session, whether I would able to evaluate myself, like whether I can implement that whatever you taught me, whatever you shared me, whether into my current vertical,
Yes.
or how effectively I can use it, or do I need to get myself trained in Python or whatever other languages in order to implement fully, where I should be able to differentiate. That's ball is on my court. But
yes, I mean,
okay.
as long as like you are into program management or project management, or you are an enterprise manager, or you are an ESM, or like see, you really need not like program, like yes, someone with a programming experience can certainly manage generative AI projects. I mean, this world is evolving. I mean, off late, like for the past few months, right? Every organization is getting into Gen AI and they're transitioning their current managers. What they're doing is like, they are making these managers well versed with Gen AI fundamentals, right? Like, they need not program, but like, they need to understand, like, what are the tools that are available, like, what are the platforms that are available, and like, how they can use this, like, out of the box tools, to get things done, right? So like, yeah, and also like, you should understand the basics, right? If you're managing a project, right? Obviously, like, you should have an understanding on how, I mean, what would be the time that particular task would take? Like, for example, if somebody says like, hey, I'm using Amazon Q, I have to configure Amazon Q and it should take like 6 months. Obviously, it is not the case. It could be done in 24 hours. But like, if you have to build a model from the scratch, right? Like, then it takes a while, right? Like, for you to understand the volume of your data, how to check, how to retrieve the content, etc. Right? So all these things, I believe Tej will be explaining you. And when I'm talking through the generative AI, I will be more focusing on the program management along with this Gen AI out-of-box solutions. Yeah. And as we speak,
yeah, thank you.
Recording all your expectations, and yeah, this is an interesting conversation.
Thanks.
Okay. Anyone wants to?
Hey, hi, this is Ashok. I'm into mobile app development, almost like having.
I just took him. He didn't go anywhere. He's just sitting there. Food beta chuda tenvano. Yes, eat the food. Let him run.
Kiran, you're on. Can you be on mute? Yeah, Ashok, you can.
Yeah, so I just want to know, like, how it's going to use in mobile app development.
Okay, in the mobile app development.
Yeah.
So like so
Okay.
I mean, if you look at, let me take this question for mobile apps, right? So most of the bots that we are using right now, even WhatsApp Meta or Cloud A or Perplexity that you're using on your mobiles, right? So all these apps are powered with generative AI capability, right? Even the Gemini or are you talking about are you talking about building such tools or or you want or are you talking about something like DALI wherein you can create images or replica or there are certain AI art generators? Are you talking about them or what is your expectation? Your expectation is you want us to show you how to build an user-friendly interfaces, etc., with mobile apps while integrating generative AI.
I never tried integrating Gen AI. That's what is there any use case like such thing that you guys are going to explain with respect to mobile app?
I'm not sure about that, but I'll
So
let Tej to take that. Yeah.
I'm not a mobile app developer, but I can say some things, right? Like maybe most of the mobile apps utilize chatbots, and chatbots again can be done by REST API or can be done again, right? Gen AI or Google's product is there again. So we will be talking about like how to host a Gen AI model, and from there maybe you can understand that how you can interact with that using that through web application only we will be doing, right? So you can understand that will be also you can play it along with your mobile app.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So I'll give a small demo of like a very basic demo of this. And okay, and then anyhow, to the curriculum, right? So how I will go, it's I'll be taking to 50 to 60 hours of the class around like, and then sorry, 40 to 60 hours of the class, and it will be majorly on the data science basics, and from data science, NLP, natural language processing. Natural language processing is basically the basic steps of Gen AI, and from NLP, we will be going to the Gen AI. And in Gen AI, we'll be talking at like what are the different methodologies we have, what are the different packages we have, and what are different architectures we have with respect to the Gen AI. And we'll also think about like we'll also build a model and try to push it into the Hugging Face, and we will also try to push our data sets in the Hugging Face. So Hugging Face is basically and repository like it's GitHub is a repository of all the code, right? Code files. Similarly, Hugging Face is basically a repository of all the models. If it's open source, people will be pushing into the Hugging Face, and we will be utilizing from Hugging Face. And it's not open source, maybe like ChatGPT, it's not an open source, right? It's a private model. So how we utilize private models, and there are other new architectures like Olama, and what are the different models we have. All these discussions will be going on, and which model to use at what time. Simple like for a simple summarization model, you don't need to use a big gun. You can use a simple BERT model or a T5. And but for question and answer or document retrieval or something, you will be utilizing RAG, OpenAI, ChatGPT, and GPT-4o. These things will be utilizing. So we will be also covering like the open source models at the same time, closed source models also. And that's the curriculum. And these are some of the topics which we'll be considering. And we don't use databases of like for the Gen AI, we'll be mostly using the vector databases. And we will be discussing about like how to host, and is there any pre-hosted, like MongoDB Atlas is already hosted, and how can we utilize MongoDB Atlas? And if we need to host ourselves, and how do you host ChromaDB, those things we'll be discussing. And before coming to the retrieval or Gen AI, right, there is a BM25 that's based on word search. It's previously existed long time back. And we'll also see that how can we integrate Gen AI at the same time, word search and how can we build a RAG model. And SQL query generator, multi-agent, like what is an agent, what is a tool, and how agents are different, and how can we have multi-agent architectures. And most of the time you will be listening LangChain, and there are other two packages called as Llama Index and Haystack. And also we will be also looking into that, how those architectures are different from LangChain, and the coding or the basic understanding of them. And coming to a simple model example, I'll go with. So this is one of an article, right? I'll open this article so that you guys can see this. So this is one of an article, and it's you can see that it's really big and it's really hard. Like it takes some time to read it. But you need particular questions or you need particular answers from this. Okay, I don't want to read everything, but I only need to. I can ask some questions so that it can give me some answers rather than what is the point of reading everything? So that's where your RAG model comes. And yeah. Somehow, I'll go in this way. And give me a minute for the screen sizing. Yes. So this article is there, right? Like you had seen this article. We are using a beautiful soap. Beautiful soap is basically, it takes the text content from the website and keeps into a variable or an object. And that object is something we will be splitting into multiple paragraphs. Like we have multiple paragraphs and we will be splitting it according to the token size. And these data will be stored in a vector database. And once we have this vector database, right, I'll just run it. And I'm using in this OpenAI. So and I kept a document, and then I have done a chunking, and then I stored in the vector database. And this is a simple prompt template. Like you're an AI language model assistant. Your task is to answer the question. So context is basically the documents which are similar to our questions will come there, and the question. So this is something will be going to the ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will be giving an answer to us. And as of now, there is an LEC here, like Linux based. If you remember Linux, right, where you will be having this pipe, each pipe separated commands. So the same architecture is now utilized by the LangChain. And the first one is retriever, and then we have a prompt, and LLM model is here we had given as GPT-4o mini, that LLM model, and it will be converted into a string output. So we just given a question that what is the task decomposition. So if the answer is available, what happens? This question will be going to the vector database and search some of the documents, and it will say that, okay, this is the data, and LLM will be giving an answer like this. But what happens if I tell that, okay, steps to make a biryani? Still, it's able to give an answer, right? But if you see here, there is nowhere that it's given that what are the steps for making a biryani in this blog. So what is happening here? I told that you're a model assistant and your task is to answer the question. So whatever the question I'm asking, it will be able to answer by using the ChatGPT, not by using the context. So now what we will try is, we can also do something like, I'll give a prompt. I'll show you the prompt. So in this prompt, right, in the human message, right, your assistant only use the following retrieved context. And if you don't know the answer, just say don't know. And you use maximum 3 sentences to make it answer, don't make it a very big one, only use 3 sentences. So now if I ask it, right, like steps to make a biryani, it says I don't know, because you're just sending the message to the ChatGPT that only answer by the context, not your knowledge. So that's how the AI works. So prompt is basically a text message. Sorry, prompt is basically a text message, and you need to give instructions to the GenAI model, and those instructions will be taken care, and it will be giving the answer. And if I give the previous one, right, task decomposition, it will be giving 3 lines of code, 3 sentences, because it's understand that only make it 3 sentences. And if I say that it's 5 sentences or 50 characters, like 144 characters or something, it will make sure that it will be in that range itself, and it won't do more than that. This is based using the Jupyter notebooks. I will show web-based applications now. And we will be running a Docker. Streamlit is basically a front-end tool for Python. Rather than writing a HTML code, we can use a Streamlit and it can create a chatbot to us. And okay, realize this one rather than. Oh, 8501. So the port is 8501. So this is a simple bot, and what it does is I'll give a questions, and then I'll show you that what is happening behind. I'll just say hi. That it will able to say some message to us. So basically what is happening, I'll show you the data. So we have an employee CSV file, and you can see that there are 5 rows, right? Like the first row is basically the heading, and these are the 5 rows. So if it's a database, right, or this is a CSV now, so you need to write a SQL query, or you need to write some code to do this. But you can just write a text, and that will be converted into an query, and that will be taken care by the GenAI. And if we see that, for example, this is the employee ID, and if I ask, what is the name of employee ID? Oh. It's said like Joseph Pina, and you can see here, this is the one, and is the it's said like Joseph Pina employment status is permanent, and you can see here it's permanent, right? So it's basically what it does, it will be trying to give this data like a sample data to the OpenAI, and OpenAI will be able to generate some queries, and it's able to give you the output to you. And to be more, right, like for example, previously I told it's the employee, but I didn't told which employee ID or who's the employment status, but it's still able to tell me that for Joseph Pina, he is permanent. The reason behind that, again, so how it's able to distinguish that. This is a lang fuse, and I will show you. I'll explain you this. This is our first question. So how many number of employees are there? So it's able to, the previous question is basically high, and it gave me the output this. So this data is stored in a Redis cache, and there are five employees are there. And once this is done, I asked it, the second question is that the previous question and answer, it will save as a context for it. So that what who has given this basically hi, hello, and then how many number of employees and total 5 number. At the same time, this is the question, this is the output. So this will be again going back for the third question as a context. That's the reason that, okay, this person is asking regarding this employee. So I need to give the answer for this, not rather than the other employees, because I didn't give any other employee. So it's basically using Redis cache. At the same time, it will be able to answer the question correctly. And you don't need to use a SQL query. You don't need to use any of the Python language tools for this. It's a very basic. It's able to understand that. And this language is basically to understand, like a simple example, like how much is the cost it's happened for this query. I think I have like 7 queries and it took around like 63 cents. No, I can't say 63 cents also. It's very less than that, right? So, and for 8,000 tokens or 4,000 words, it took around like 0.006. I think it's less than a rupee. And this is one of how can we utilize, like how can we connect LangChain or the GenAI with SQL databases or simple CSV files. And the previous example is basically how we can connect GenAI with a website or a PDF. That's one. And I will show you another one. It's my pet project, you can think. I'll stop this. I'll stop the other stream. So you already, I think, have utilized your Google, right? Google Photos or Google or even your gallery, where you can give a text message and it will be able to search all the images and it will be able to extract those images back to you. That a simple example for me, can you show me Holi Pills? Holi is Indian festival, right? So if you do the same thing in your Google, right, even you have Holy Pills, it won't be able to do it because still the Google model is not taking the Indian festivals into the consideration. So if you see here, one of an images which I tried to convert these images into text, and I made that LLM to the GenAI model to search on the text rather than the images, because we can convert every image into text, and every large language, some of the large language models are multimodal capabilities, something like Lava. I'm using local. This is completely done in a local host. You can say like it won't use any of the GPT. It will be using the Olama. That's another bot. I can show that. So this is open source model completely. So we can complete open source and we can get some good results. If I ask like, give me, and it only checks from my local directory, not from the its repository, right? Give me some. Oh. And you had seen that, right? Like this is not a beach, but it's still understanding that it can be a beach related. And this is also not a beach, but it's thinking that, okay, water is related to the beach. On that context, it's able to give me that whatever it is there. And if I ask like, in the repository, I didn't store any of the bar aspects, so it will not be able to get those images. So this is another chatbot for multimodal capabilities, like how can we utilize multimodal not only on text data, but we can utilize image. So this is also we will explain over the course. Yeah. Any questions?
I think this is a little way too confusing for me because I don't know the fundamentals. I don't know what GenAI means, what OpenAI means, what ChatGPT means. I think you did the demo. I totally
Yeah.
get the demo, but I need to know the fundamentals, right? So
True. So we just want to show you that what you can achieve by the tutorial, right? That's the reason of these demos. And so if we go through all of these things, you will be able to develop these type of applications and or create new applications for your own projects. So that's the idea behind showing the demos at the starting of the session.
got it. Yeah.
Hey, do you have any demos like using the Gen AI, modifying the images, background, or so I don't know, do you know lifestyle images in Gen AI? So you can do the lifestyle images. So do you have any demos related to that?
I didn't have the demo, but there are some models we can go through if you want. But these are, as I told, right, this is basically a Hugging Face one, where you will have every model and give me a minute. Yeah, it's not loading. And you're talking about image to text or text to image, and you can convert some of the images. Now you can see that you give an image, it can smile, or it can they can show some actions.
Mhm.
Those are some of the models are already available, and we can show that how it like how can you load and how can you do that.
Okay, so like, is there something? Can we set the different backgrounds to the image and remove the backgrounds to the image? Basically, modifying the images. So sometimes we have the real-time use case where we'll get the images background different, and we need to the some business-related images background to
Uh,
modifying the image backgrounds like that.
Sean is just a tremendous leader. So, Sean, welcome tonight. Thank you so much for being on.
Yes, Jody. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure, and I get
Generative AI join because
this is the company.
Unmuted. Sorry. So I won't be just for fun, but I won't be able to do a Photoshop all those things, Adobe Photoshop. But
Okay.
I can show you that how a prompt can make a image. That is something I can show.
Okay, yeah, that one I know that. So just give the prompt, create the some um image, so it will create the images, correct?
Okay, we will be walking through the multimodal, multimodal diffusion models, multimodal diffusion models, like, that could cater to your use case. But as they said, right, like, we won't be doing any kinds of Photoshopping. But
Got
we
it.
will try to cater to most of the use cases, be it program management or project management, or be it technology. So we will try to distribute the course in such a way, like, you can just pick your slots. For example, right, if Tej is talking about technology, right, like, when I say, like, the technical aspects, right, like, building models, building models, writing Python scripts, importing libraries, chunking, creating a vector store, retrieving. I would highly recommend you, though you are with program management or project management, without you having a basic understanding. I'm not asking you to focus on the technological aspects, but if you pay attention to why these are needed, it will make your life easy, even when you are doing your sales page, or like, if you are running your RFPs, etc. Right? Like, so I'm sure, like, by knowing all this, you will be standing out of the rest. Because, like, Gen AI is still evolving, right? Like, when it comes to a proposal, right? Not many would be knowing what to propose, what should be the cost. I mean, what should be the man count. Obviously, for any program, people, processes, and technology plays a key role. And without you having a basic understanding on how things work behind the scenes, it would be very difficult for you to manage your program or projects. And I'm sure, like, like everyone else in this era, right? Like, everyone is transitioning to this Gen AI, and down the lane, these people, like, these companies, right? Like, what they are planning to do, they are planning to have, they're planning to build Gen AI at enterprise scale, just like how you are having now database as a service, SaaS as a service, right? How you're building your products as a services, right? Like, likewise, like, all these companies will be rolling out their own Gen AI as a service platforms. They'll be building their own platform. So for you to, just in case, like, that's how, I mean, that's how the trends are. Like, I work with many of the energy customers here. I'm based out of Houston, and I know, like, how things are going. I know the trends, right? Like, so please do. I know, like, if you're into product management and program management, going into these technicalities will be very, very, like, boring. But we will ensure, like, the first half an hour, Tej would be talking on why, and he will take last 20 minutes for the demo. Will that work for you guys? Instead of, like, doing a 60-minute demo, he'll be doing, like, for example, like, why you need a vector store, why you need to chunk the document, right? Like, how a model is able to retrieve the response to the question you have asked, how things work behind the scenes. There is lots of exciting stuff behind the scenes, and he's going to explain that, I'm pretty sure. And we will ensure, like, the coding part will be like 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes, or 30 minutes, depending on the use case. Does that sounds like a plan for you guys? So that, like, uh, it is a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, I agree with you, Pawan. Yeah, that looks good. It sounds like a plan.
Okay, cool.
Hi, this is Aruna. I missed first 10-15 minutes of the presentation. Can you just, just maybe few sentences, what are the prerequisites for this class?
So we are making sure that the prerequisites is basically, like, I don't think you need any prerequisites, but you should be able to understand some of the basic concepts like variable, storage, SQL, all this very basic things. Like, what is SQL means. I don't want to know to write a SQL query, but you should understand what is SQL, what is a text document, what is a PDF document, and what very basics of programming. And we will make sure in this curriculum, we will also teach the Python and also the basics of Gen AI and data science.
Okay, thank you. I have a database development background for 20 plus years, so I have not ventured into this new Gen AI and all that. I'm heavy backend, so.
So are you with database development, Aruna?
Yes.
Are you into database development, right? Like, for you, like, if I were you, I would be focusing. I mean, if you want to transition to Gen AI, obviously that is the reason why you are here. So I would be focusing on text to SQL, right? Like, you must have heard about vector databases. You'll be hearing more about vector databases in near future. And many companies, right, these days, they are tired of raising requests to database professionals like us. And they want to automate these flows. Or, like, they want to just query the databases through natural language. So there is something called text to SQL. You must have heard about it, right? Like, now most of the C-suite, they want to query the databases directly. Earlier, like, we used to put in a request to the database team for generating the report, and we used to run the reports, save them, and send it through an email to the C-suite, and they used to analyze, or to the business analyst, right? Like, whatever. But for now, like, now with the advent of Gen AI, like, we have something called text to SQL, wherein you will be putting your query in natural language, and behind the scenes, these LLMs would be converting your natural language to SQL and giving back the responses, right? Like, if I were you, I would be focusing on that, and I hopefully will be covering text to SQL too. Okay, don't be amused or surprised, like, why these guys are telling, like, we would be covering everything. So, like, it is pretty common for most of the use cases, right? Like, for example, QA, right? QA, like, earlier, we used to manually go through the documents, and we used to write our test cases, right? But now, with the introduction of, like, these LLMs, like, you can just feed this data. For example, if you have your tons of documents in a SharePoint location, or if you have your tons of documents in your Confluence, right? Like, we can just integrate these third-party data sources to your generative AI tools, and you can extract the content. Okay. Likewise, like, if you are into project management, I mean, if you want to improve the response time of your ServiceNow tickets, or if you want to, improve the response time of your incidents, right? Incident response. You can automate that workflow using generative AI just by integrating generative, just by, like, introducing generative AI mechanisms into your into your framework, right? Like, so likewise, and like, again, right? Like, I'm not sure if you are aware of this, like, now, I myself, right? Like, I really don't spend more time building slide decks, or I really don't spend more time summarizing my emails, right? Like, you can just integrate your Outlook to this LLMs, or like, to the tools that your company provides, and these tools will summarize the email for you. You can just categorize your emails accordingly, and like, for example, if you want to build an RFP, right? Like, you need not sit for 2 to 3 hours and build the RFP, right? You can just put in the customer requirement and the problem that you are trying to solve, and provide the context that, like, hey, I am a program manager. Okay, I want to pitch in this RFP for so and so customer. And you can put in your budget constraints, you can put your technical use cases and the number of people you want to work with, and it will generate a detailed RFP for you. So, like, all these things, the common thing is the data, and we'll be emphasizing lots on data, and we'll be working on the tools that we will be using to leverage, or like, we'll be leveraging these tools to solve these real world problems. Okay. So whenever we say, yes, this will be covered, like, we're not doing a kind of sales pitch. Tej and I, we are actively solving real world problems using generative AI, and we are here just to share our experiences. Okay. And we're just speakers. We are not, like, professional teachers or speakers. Hopefully, like, we'll be sharing all our experiences, and end of the session, right? Like, once you're out of the sessions, right? Like, it is mutually beneficial for all of us. You will be learning from us, and we will be learning from you and from your experiences. Please challenge us so that we can come up with more innovative stuff. Hopefully, I have summarized.
Any more questions or anything you guys have? Like, it can be anything, right? Like, and to be specific, right? Data science is really hard to understand, but Gen AI is really easy to understand. I can say that. If you're going in the maths behind it, that will be really hard. But if you're, as I told, I showed a simple prompt right here, where you are given that, okay, these are the instructions, and it's able to understand, and it's able to do it. This is basically a Gen AI. So I think it will be easy. At the same time, like, you need to keep some time on it, and you need to learn some new topics. That's if you're open-minded, you'll be easily be able to understand where to use, when to use, how to use it.
What are the job opportunities like in this? Is it remote options or in person? How are the job opportunities like?
Generically, I will say, I won't say specific to any other companies or anything. So the generic is basically most of the data science or GenAI based will be single-handed projects. So it will be mostly, if you're going into the development side, it will be completely remote. Most of the opportunities can be into the remote. As of now, slowly hybrid is working on, but still some of the companies are for the data science, you no need to integrate with multiple teams and do it. That's one of the positive side. And if it's related to the project management, I think the executives or the executive level are as of now are necessary. They are going to the office. Yeah, if you're trying to hit a developer type role, it will be mostly into the remote or hybrid.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, quick question. There's no separate curriculum for program management / technical side, right? The same basically course content, but slightly more at the program level for the program management folks, but more technical for the technical folks in terms of like programming, etc. Right?
So I mean, can I teach? Sorry.
Yeah.
A quick question, like how many of you are into program management? Like I mean, I really don't see the count of the audience. Like how many of you are into program management?
Yeah, I'm in program management, Pawan.
Okay, we have 1, 2, 3 or 4, right? Yeah. Yeah, no, I just want to get it down. Yeah, please go ahead.
So thing is that, right, like I'll go into the technical, but I know like for the program management, it will be really hard to, what is the reason of technical, right? But the only thing, the first 30 minutes, 40 minutes, it will be on to the why this algorithm, how this algorithm is going to work, and way to apply and when to use it. These are some of the questions we'll be talking in the first 40, 50 minutes. And the next 10 or 20 minutes, it will be more into the how to do it in Python, how to do it using Python packages and all related. So if you want to skip that, that's fine. But the first 40 minutes is mostly into the why, how, where. Like the first 6 questions or 4 questions will be.
Yeah, I don't mind learning, just understanding the technical aspects of it. As Pawan mentioned earlier, it's better to have some background. Maybe I don't want to do hands-on coding and stuff, at least try to download some libraries and do, just run some dry run.
Yeah.
Any one-on-one support is available, like if I get stuck in something, the technically after the class?
You can post your questions.
You can any 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, you can post your questions and we will try to resolve it because everyone has their own, or like, I can't say that it will be priority 1 ticket or something like that.
No. Okay. So what is the schedule of the class? Is it Monday to Friday? How it is? Monday to Thursday? What's the schedule?
Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday?
Yeah.
No happy hour on Friday? I'm kidding.
Or like we can do Monday to Thursday. Earlier classes, like Fridays are a bit flexible. Like folks get into this. We can move. Yeah.
What time? What time?
The same time, 7:30 EST.
Okay.
CST, sorry.
So like CST. Most of you are from. I know like there are a couple of guys from West Coast. Do we have anyone from Southeast or South Central? Or?
Sorry, what's the last one?
I mean, like EST. Do we have anyone from EST?
Yeah, I'm from EST.
Do we have anyone from Houston or Austin or Dallas?
I'm Houston.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm from Houston.
Question. I'm senior architect with tons of experience in programming and architecting and all. Now I'm actually trying to move senior leadership roles. But I somehow got an impression that AI reduces the programming effort. Is that a correct statement, or how much of the programming is required? And I love to program. I program like several hours each day, but I'm planning to move to senior leadership roles. So yeah, please.
I'll just show you a demo like that. This is a Perplexity AI. This is a Indian founder. I think hopefully everyone knows this. Right. It will be able to generate you code. Right. Again, the one thing I am not completely sure because of it will run or not, but it will give you a skeleton. Simple thing. If I do a slide deck, right? If I need to do a document, right? The skeleton is majorly my problem. And that skeleton can be given by Generative. And if you want, you're stuck somewhere with a code or something, right? You can give some questions to it and it will be able to answer it. And it will be able to understand and it will give you some codes. But the problem here again, there is a package came like 1 month back and you're asking that, it will never do that. It will only give the answers based on 6 months back. All the models are trained like 6 months or 4 months back. So you should not expect like, okay, I have a real time basically last month a package or last 2 weeks a package came and I want a coding of as of now. It won't be given, but it will be help you to give a skeleton to start. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, these generative AI, this will make your developers more productive, right? It is not like, this is going to reduce, whatever you're seeing here, it is just a skeleton and you have to customize it to your use case. But for sure, it is going to make your developers' life easier and you'll see more productive work. For example, if you want to build something in like 2 weeks, you can build in a week. I mean, I know my friend who is who is not into generative AI. A couple of months ago, he used Copilot to create a bot. What that bot does is, right, it would be summarizing all the legal contracts for his company, and it will be sending out an email to the necessary C-suite employees, right? So simple, so I mean, he did all by following Copilot. Of course, these solutions are not productionized. If these solutions have to be productionized, again, you have to follow in all the best practices. And again, with generative AI, not everything is so cool. There is something called responsible AI, which plays a key role in building these solutions. You have to set up guardrails so that, right, you are not exposing, you're not allowing the responses to be biased or toxic or, harmful. So you have all those things. Yeah.
And what other applications are in at least in beta kind of environment other than chat or audio or video?
Yeah, you can build invoice analyze. I mean, so for example, if you want to bank reconciliation, right? For example, with healthcare. So if you want to do the assessments, for example, you have this patient data and looking into different samples of patients' data based on certain behaviors, you want to do a predictive analysis of cancer detection, you can do that. Or for example, if you're in oil and gas, right? If you want to expedite the maintenance, right, of this oil and I mean oil wells and rigs, right? You can just feed in your maintenance documents into this into this out-of-box tools, and you can put in your prompts, and it should be able to process these documents and come out with answers. If it is with public sector, right, like you can just customize your learning sessions per student based on his grades. I mean, you can do lots of things. We're just starting here. Yeah. So these are all the tools. I mean, here, end of the day, like, everyone is talking about chatbot. Like, it is not that chat. I mean, when you do this, Jenny, right? Like, when you pitch in this idea to your senior meeting, right? Obviously, the question that you're gonna get is, right, like, what is the ROI on your project, right? What is the return on investment? Obviously, it is not cheap. Building GenAI solutions is not cheap, right? So unless you have the expertise, if you don't have the expertise, you have to hire something from these cloud providers, be it Microsoft, Google, Meta, or AWS people, or like big consulting firms like Deloitte or Accenture, and you have to pay a lot, and you have to pay for these underlying services too, right? So if you are pitching your GenAI solution, obviously a simple chatbot, unless it's gonna remove tons of QA developers or tons of service now analysts or service now employees, so it's not gonna help you, right? Like so return on investment is very, very crucial. For example, you are doing a bank reconciliation, right? Like, you have the contracts, you have your legal documents, and you have your invoices. And if you are validating against these contracts, like typically a financial analyst, what he does is he will be feeding all this information into an Excel. He will be writing some formulas, and then he would be validating. Let's say, assume like, he's taking 5,000 hours to process like 200 documents. Example, I'm just taking an example. So like, if you automate this, you'll be able to save those 5,000 hours, and your financial analyst can help on like, focusing on the quintessential stuff that can help improve the financial situation of your company. Okay, that is one example, right? So like this, like, it depends on your use cases, right? Like, I have worked only on so many models. I mean, so many use cases. I can't tell you more, but whatever the use cases that I have covered are the use cases that I have worked on, and I have helped my customers solve their problems.
Are these in production? Some of the applications that you mentioned?
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
They are not at POC level, right? They are actually
no. They are all productionized.
Okay.
So, if we change the discipline to data science and generative AI completely, what are the job opportunities and what are the expected salaries with, less experience?
This is a pretty open-loaded question, right? Right, like, so it can go from anywhere to anywhere. So like, everyone is transitioning. This is the transition phase. Like, if you take me, so Tej, I think he has been a big data expert, and myself, like, I was a database engineer and then a senior data architect, and then like, since last year, I've been helping my customer with these GenAI use cases, right? So likewise, right, like, you never know, like, you never know. I mean, job opportunities, yes, you'll have lots of job opportunities. Again, this is just the start. Like, we are at the start of an exciting revolution. Like, I mean, yes, like, there are apprehensions, including me, like, will this be some kind of big data where everyone were talking about big data about a decade ago? Or this is a kind of cloud where, like, see, every decade, our technology, what do you call it? Like, every decade there will be a change in the way that our technology evolves, right? Like, currently, like, we are on that we are in that phase, right? Like, wherein, like, everyone wants to have that piece of Gen AI. Jobs, I really don't know, like, so all the data engineers are now AML engineers. I mean, just look into the LinkedIn profiles of your friends who are into data. Probably they might be categorizing themselves as Gen AI specialists because they must have built a bot, right? Or like, or they must have productionized a generative AI workflow and calling themselves as ML ops, machine learning operation engineer, right? Like, so and you have that responsible AI, like, so I mean, building, as I was said, right, like, building responsible GenAI solution holds key to your organization and to everyone, right? And there are people, once you develop your solution, there are people who come in who will be doing the security guardrail check and who will be approving. They are called as, like, responsible. I mean, every company is now coming up with this team, responsible AI team. And then you have prompt engineers, right? Like, who will be helping the companies with prompts. Like, these are, or like, you have, I mean, then you have, and now you have, like, generative AI advisor role, like, wherein, like, you have people like, who wants to build, now organizations are trying to build, right? Trying to build generative AI at enterprise scale. So they are building a generative ready organization. They want people who can take them there, right? Like, they are looking for generative AI advisory role or generative AI specialist, right? And yeah, lots of roles, like, I don't know, like, there could be new roles, but the thing is, right, like, salaries, we really don't know. It is a pretty open-ended question. Like, it depends on the region. If you're in Texas, you'll get very less. If you are in West Coast, probably, like, the cost of living is high, you would be paid more. And also depending on the use case of what you're trying to build, right? If they're gonna pay you more, obviously they're expecting similar value in return, right? So yeah, that is a pretty open question, but I hope I have.
Hey, Pawan. So let me rephrase my question. Sorry, I understand what you said is it's a pretty large, I mean, like, it's a pretty wide area that you're covered. Thank you so much for that. So there are so many roles I understand. There are so many things that we understand. But what is going to, I mean, like, what we are going to get it after taking this course? You guys are going to help us in getting a job, securing a job, or is it like we just take the course and we need to search on ourselves?
No, I don't think,
What's
like,
going to happen?
I'm not aware if Kalpra has committed you to get a job. I mean, I don't know, like, at least from my end and from Tej, like, we might not be able to help you with your jobs, right? Like, here we
Okay,
are
you
just.
guys cannot help us in searching a job.
No,
That's
no,
that's the answer. I just wanted to know that.
Yeah, probably that should be the question to Kalpra, Malleshwar, or Chari. Probably, like, they can help answer. I don't know if they market. I really don't know. So that is above our
Okay.
control.
So
We really
this
don't.
course is sufficient to get a job, or like in the areas that you are mentioning, is the
Yes.
whatever the course you're going to.
Yes.
So the assignments, the projects, in 3 months, I don't think it will be a completely, again, a revolutionary comes out. But mostly these are the major projects which everything is RAG, retrieval augmented generative. So we will be explaining in and out of RAG-based models to you. So end of that, you will be able to easily understand what is GenAI, and you will be able, I think, our expectation is that you should be able to clear the interviews with this course, as if you are giving some more work to you.
Okay.
Right, like
we would be able to clear the interviews. I just want to make sure, and even for the others who are attending this class, we understand properly. So this course will help us to, clear the interviews. I mean, at least if we give our complete effort. But you guys will not help us in searching a job. Is that a correct statement?
Yes.
Or
And
like you're not even in with creating the resumes or the helping us with the LinkedIn profiles and all that stuff. You won't do that. Is that correct?
Yeah. This is Chari, so I'm the right person to answer that question.
Yes.
We will help you to prepare the resume, and we will help you to apply for the jobs from our side.
So I'm talking about in US, not in India. Is that correct?
Yes.
You're
Yes,
going to help us in US.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we do have a staffing company, so we will help you to market your profile with our known vendors, and we'll try to apply for the jobs.
Okay, you're a staffing company. Got it.
Yes.
Okay, got it. We can have an offline call after this demo. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, Partha and Pawan, Prasad here. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I would like to understand the real-time environment, right? So when you're building any component, right? Are we going to work in a cloud environment, and do we integrate with multiple services, cloud services? Can you give few points on that area? I'm trying to understand, like, what will be the real-time environment when we really try to build some
Yeah.
component.
So mostly the generative AI applications, if you're using, it will be mostly on the cloud, all three clouds, right? Azure, AWS, and then
Yeah.
Google. All three clouds have their own machine learning based environments, and they make sure that it's easily built and it's easily deployable as of either it comes to the AWS. They are partners with very big techs like Cloud, and Azure. It's basically big. They are having the GPT, so they're making sure it's easy for deployment, and they have done so many other components with respect to the simple whatever I'm showing in the Python that can be done in some of the front end in the AWS and Azure as of slowly. They are building into that tech. In the part of Google, they are a bit slow, I can say, but they are really good in the machine learning previously. But as of now, with the Gen AI, they are not able to give a good competition. But I think hope they will come back. But all of the Gen AI use cases mostly utilize cloud. I think it's
So yeah, maybe in addition to that, my point is, like, besides using the AI services of various clouds, right? So do we interact with other services, integrate with other services like maybe S3, or do we end up writing some Lambda?
Yes.
So that is the point I'm trying to.
Yes, yes, like, irrespective of the cloud, right? Like, be it Azure, right?
Yeah.
In Azure, you'll have Blob, right? In S3, if you go to AWS, it is S3, right? Similarly with cloud, there will be some storage, right? Like,
Yes.
for building these, see, one thing that we need to understand with Gen AI, there are two key components with Gen AI. Gen AI is not magic, and behind the scenes, Gen AI relies heavily on the data that you have. Okay, so all this data processing, data cleansing, all this data ingestion part, right? Like, you're talking about lambdas, right? Or similar mechanism in Azure, or similar mechanism in Google. I mean, it is gonna be the same. And another thing, right? Like, for your question, like, we will be using cloud. The reason why now Gen AI is gaining traction is because the compute for running these models is very, very costly. So with the advent of this cloud computing, like, the compute has become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, right? Like, earlier in back in our days, right? Like, when I started my career in 2003 or 2006, right? Like, for us to have a 5 GB RAM computer, it's like it's like a privilege, right? But now, like, the computer has become so cheap. So again, coming back to your question, right? Like, so the quintessential thing is, right, like, if you want to run these services manually on your data centers or on your local local data hubs, it would be very costly. That is the reason why people are looking forward to like, investing in cloud, so that, like, these cloud vendors will be taking care of all the heavy lifting while you can focus on your business logic. That is point one. And the point two, nowadays, like, that is the reason why you might have seen, right, like, chips like Nvidia, chips like AMD, like, whenever they tweet something about the chips, like, the share prices will go up, because like, everything is AI is driving everything, but I don't know, like, how long it's going to be like that. But that's what it is at this point of time. Yes, we will be integrating all different services. Generative AI, if you have to implement a generative AI solution in production, it is not only about the generative AI tools. You will be using rest of other services. They go hand in hand.
Okay, sure, got it. Okay. Thank you, sir. And like, as a part of this course, will you be focusing on any of the clouds, or cloud-based solutioning, or how does it?
Tej will be focusing on LangChain. He will be focusing more on open source. Like, he'll be focusing a lot on OpenAI, LangChain, Hugging Face, etc. Like, and I'll be focusing more on AWS because I'm an AWS specialist, and I have built all of my GenAI solutions in AWS. So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Pawan. Thanks a lot.
And I see somebody has asked a question on Snowflake. Yes, like, I mean, I'm not sure if we are going to cover, but we will be sharing our